All right, everyone, welcome. I'm seeing green, I can see recording. I've got an assistant today. So those of you that are regular attendees, I will hopefully not be dithering around. She is making it live on Facebook. So if you do have any friends that are trying to get on Facebook, don't blame me today if it doesn't work. Welcome. My name is James Maitland. I'll be your host today. We've got plenty of great topics to chat through today. Very, very excited to get stuck into it today. I will run through the rest of my fellow panelists later in the session. But first of all, I just want to call out a few people. Welcome, Charles, Sarah, David, Barbara, Linda, Anthony, Patricia, Jennifer, hi. Thanks for that nice, lovely comment. She commented how good my hair is looking. Thank you very much. William, Michael, too many names to call out, but welcome everyone. As always, I very much appreciate everyone setting aside some time for us today. We will try to keep as close to 30 minutes as possible. If you do have to leave early, don't worry, we won't even notice you go. And I will send everyone a copy of the recording so you can catch up after the session. We will get stuck into the questions in a few minutes after I make some introductory comments, and I'll just check we are live on Facebook. Almost, she says. So looks like maybe I would do almost as good a job doing it myself. However, I feel much more natural and on cue here. So today is question time. It is the 24th of March, 2021. We're going to answer all of your questions about the topics that we ran through in this weekend's session. And we will also hang around and ask anything that you want to. I've been given the green light that I can now share my screen, so I'm just going to get that up. All right, everyone, so what are those themes that I was talking about that we can do? Why the house price boom is just getting started. What could make property prices slow down? Bank of Mum and Dad becomes a top 10 mortgage lender. Oh my God, how is Mum and Dad bigger than some of the other banks out there? The most popular rental suburbs must be regional Australia. That's all we ever read about. And APRA. Greg's going to tell us what that acronym stands for. Just kidding. I can see a look of terror on his face. They are the police for the banks, and what might they do to slow their market down? All right, before that, as always, Lucas told everyone about leading and lagging indicators last week. These are leading indicators. The auction statistics, clearance rate last weekend, 82%. It is continuing to be over 80% every single week for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Absolutely phenomenal. I have to say, Sydney is totally out of control, 87.5%. I think that's more than 6 weeks it has been over 80%. Phenomenal results there, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down at all. In terms of nationally across there, again, as I said, over 80%. One of the biggest auction weeks that we've had. I think this may have even been the biggest week that we've had since this time last year. So really, really strong results, given that there's still a huge number of houses actually being put up for auction and those that are clearing through. So I think this is really, really a good sign into what we can expect for the rest of the year. Another major leading indicator we look at is realestate.com, largest real estate portal here in Australia. They put together this index, which is a indicator as to where they're seeing the weekly buyer demand trending versus this time last year, as well as a running tally for the last 12 months. You can see by those lines there, one is for the entire market, one is for houses, and one is for units. On the left, we have the national trend, and on the right, we have our local trend here in Victoria. Both trending pretty much in the same direction. We've seen a bit of a drop over the last few weeks in buyer demand, but we're still very, very close to the peak. I think we're a couple of percentage down from demand. These aren't house prices, remember everyone, this is just what they see on their website as the engagement from potential buyers looking for things. Important thing to note, if you look at that line, the first grey bar was the very first lockdown. So that's about what this time last year was, which is why you can see that large dip. Followed by a very, very strong recovery in demand, all but for Victoria on the right. You can see when we went into the second wave, which all of us have made a distant memory, and we saw a big dip down there. What I will say, we are almost 60% up on this time last year. So again, just showing how strong the demand is out there for the moment for buying into this property market. All right, rentals. Those investors on the line, or even those budding investors, rentals, typically we see this as a fairly normal seasonal trend, a big spike just after Christmas, which slows down, usually marries up with the start of the schooling university season. It's obviously a little bit skewed this year, given that we still have a ban on international students. However, still relatively strong. Whilst it has been falling over the last few weeks, we're still much stronger than we were this time last year. I think for the next 4 or 5 weeks, the trend versus last year is going to be a little bit thrown off, given this is when we went into our first lockdown. However, it'll be very, very interesting to see just in isolation how the next month or two perform. Those of you that have been listening for a long time will know that the rental moratoriums that have been in place for the last 12 months are finally disappearing. So yay, those landlords like myself who've been at the mercy of tenants' whims for whenever they feel like uttering those 2 words that Greg hates to hear, which is financial hardship. And it means they can have a 50% discount on their rent whenever they ask for it. They're coming to an end. There's only 4 days left. So yay, very excited for that. JobKeeper, JobSeeker are ending. Everyone was worried about it. That's now a distant memory. I don't think it's going to make a single difference. And potentially we are going to see a bit of a spike in there as some people do look to try and get a better deal or come back to reality that perhaps going from the doghouse up to the penthouse is no longer feasible when those rents start to climb back up. All right, so my favourite thing is to ask all the callers on the line a question first before you start to pepper me in the panel. I want to know, what is more important, information or knowledge? What do you say is going to win the day? Particularly, I'm singling out any new callers on the line. I want you to really think about this and tell me, what do you think is going to be more important, information or knowledge? All right, Jack, tell them the answer.
The answer is knowledge.
Well done, knowledge. Jack's been listening. It's only been 12 months, but I knew this week he'd be ready to answer. So why do we say that? Well, first of all, I want to just unpack what I mean by each of these. Information is organised data about something, whereas knowledge is an understanding from either education or experience. So, really what we're talking about there is plenty of information out there, whether it be in, newspapers, magazines, TV, the internet, social media. Anyone and everyone can put out information. Some of it's from credible sources. A lot of it is from people with zero qualifications, zero experience, and generally just haters. Knowledge is the ability to take that information, work through it, have a system for understanding what it means, and then applying that to your own personal situation. And that is what we always talk about here, actionable knowledge. So, we're very much here at Salvo all about creating a database for all of our customers of their own, list of actionable knowledge, what they should be looking for, what they should be doing, and how they can capitalize on any particular market conditions. Really, really hard thing to do. The reason why it's so hard, as I said, is social media. It now means that anyone can put anything out there. It's easy to get a reach with people, seeing what you've got, and things that you see, for example, when you drop in a search in Google at the top of the list are not necessarily the correct answers. They are just what has been most popular. And typically, the things that are popular is what people put in big attention-grabbing headlines that more often than not are not actually true. It's crazy that that's the world we live in and that people can do that. But I think it's really, really important for all the callers out there to understand that you really need to have a look at where that piece of information comes from so that you can turn it into knowledge and work out whether it's even relevant to you or if the person is even credible. All right, I've been chastising everyone now for 7 or 8 minutes. So who am I? Those of you that just joined, my name is James Maitland. I'm the General Manager here at Salvo, and I've helped create more than 11,000 homes for people just like you. If you're wondering who is Salvo, what do? We do a ton of things. Most importantly, we have a single focus, which is helping create homes for people. So, you know, we have a number of businesses built around that thing or that single goal, but that's what we're all about, is helping create homes for people. So whether you be at the start of your journey, you're just moving out of mum and dad's home and looking for your first place to rent, right up to the other end that you may be looking to upgrade into your next home or even building a new home, that's what we're all about. We can help you on that journey. That's what we love doing. So I'm joined today by three very, very successful panelists. The first is Greg Arbek. He's our most experienced senior man on here. He's looking excited to get stuck into everything. He's been doing this for more than 30 years. Jack, he got the question right at the start, so he's going to get the first questions from you if you've asked anything there. He's been doing this for a long time, and rounded out with Lucas Karras as well, who's been doing this for more than 25 years. All right, that is it from me for the intro, so let's get started. I'm going to start reading through the Q&A because I saw a lot of questions popping in. But before we get into that, Bank of Mum and Dad, we're all parents on this line here, and I'm sure most of our callers are. Bank of Mum and Dad, Greg, you know, why are mum and dad helping out so much with their kids? What are some of the reasons for that?
Well, James, I've done exactly the same thing. We've looked at the market, and I think parents are doing the same thing. Interest rates are at record lows. Property prices are projected to get up really high. And parents are going, you know what, we've got to help our children get in now. Instead of saying, wait until I'm dead, let's get my kids into a property. So that means lending them or giving them money, or getting into your, you know, taking using their properties as security to allow to get into their own property. Okay.
So I was going to ask you a follow-on question, but I think you've answered that for there. The ways that people can help out, you were saying, is, you know, put up the home as equity, give them cash, lend them cash.
Absolutely. There's many ways.
What about mums still doing the washing so they can save on laundry?
What they were saying as well, that they even allowing their children to stay with them, yep, to allow them to gain wealth, you know, to save, and on the same time either giving them money or using their properties or whatever it is to allow their kids to get into a property. So that's what it's just shown, and it's huge at the moment because of the market circumstances.
All right, I've got a question here from Eugene, who's asking, you know, what should I look out for if I do want to help out my son? Have you got any sort of tips as to you know, how this may be a successful bank relationship, for want of a better word?
Well, like anything else, you've got to make sure that you document these things, because this is usually a big investment. So get some advice. Absolutely get advice. You know, if you've got cohabitation, children, whatever it is, and you don't want to get into an issue that you have an expensive legal fight down the track, make sure it's very clear up front and get it documented properly to make sure it's all done properly, so you're going to have issues later.
Sure. All right. So, Eugene, hopefully that answered your question. I think, you know, something that perhaps is missed by a lot of people, and I think what Greg was touching on there, is that you might initially help out your child to buy their first home or upgrade a home, and then they might, you know, start a new relationship or get married, and all of a sudden there's another party involved in owning that house that, you know, all of a sudden is staking a claim on your equity or what you've got in there. So I think that is really, really important thing to do, to get in up front and set out those rules, because whilst you're dealing with just your child, may be very easy. Once there's other parties involved, it can make that situation a little bit messy. Lucas, that would never happen in a Greek family, would it? Because you'd all be living together anyway.
Right.
Good. All right. So let's move on. Quite a few questions coming up here. All right, seems to be a lot just talking about house prices, auction clearance rates. Look, I'm going to try and just focus on the slightly more general questions that I think are relevant to everyone. Those of you that put in specific questions, I will fire back to you guys through the Q&A. Perhaps what might be interesting is, Jack, I know you and I were chatting earlier last week just about, you know, the house price boom and how prices are going up. All of us here on the call, we're all real estate agents. We've all been doing this for our entire lifetimes, and we just typically, you know, we have a feel, we know where things are going. we may not necessarily put it down into, numbers and facts and figures so much as we can just sort of tell people, look, we've seen this before. We can see the market conditions and why things are going up. But you were telling me a little bit more of an analytical view as to why, house prices go up and a bit more specific. So, what was sort of the first reason why you said you can see that house prices are going to continue to go up and up and up?
Yes, James. All right. I think the first reason is very, very simple. Like we look in for example, 3 years ago, if we having a mortgage, you probably pay maybe 4.5 interest rates. But today, you only pay half, which is 2%. It's more than 2%. So which gives you like the double your repayment ability to make a repayment, or give you the double power and to lending the money from the bank.
So, what you're sort of saying there is that for ease of maths, let's use $1 million loan.
Yeah.
If you were paying 4.5%, that would mean your interest payments were $45,000 a year. Now with an interest rate of, 2%, you're down to $20,000 a year. So effectively,
Exactly.
you've halved your interest repayments. So that sort of translates into, am I right in saying that effectively your borrowing power has more or less doubled?
Yes, exactly. So your borrowing power, like your borrowing capacity is almost a double. Sort of like you spend the same kind of the money, you can even borrow more money from the bank.
Okay. So why does that mean that house prices are going to go up?
Because like people, they thinking is never have a great chance and that they can make the most of the borrow capacity. And so it's not even the better time to go into the market now. So you spend less money. Let's say you have the same amount of the mortgage, but now your repayment is just a half. So which is great opportunity.
So are you saying that it's like my wife, whatever is in the bank account, she spends it. I double the amount of money, she still spends it. I halve the amount of money, she spends it. It doesn't matter what's in there, she just spends it. So if she could borrow $1 million and now she can borrow $2 million, she's going to spend $2 million. Is it as simple as that?
Your wife sounds like my wife.
Yes, well, I'm pretty sure all of hopefully there's no wives on the line here getting upset, but I think, it's equally as true for most of us out there that we tend to just spend whatever we can get. Okay, so look, that seems fairly straightforward. I know you got another reason, slightly controversial, but what is one of the other reasons why you expect house prices to continue going up?
Yeah, because the first thing is that we're looking at how much we spend. We see the half on the interest, but we also need to look in our income. Our income will be like growth, like in Australian, and in the past 3 years, as average, everybody has the income growth. Particularly for the people that are looking the property, I would definitely thinking they have sort of like the income growth. Like for example, 3 years you make maybe 70 grand. After 3 years, you might make the 100 grand. So which is also gives you the more the big power to make the payment on your property. So you save the money on your expense of the interest rate, and also your income has been growth. So it's almost like double, triple your power, your buying power.
Okay, so effectively what you're saying is I'm earning more money so I can afford to spend more, plus I'm now going to pay less in interest repayment so I can afford to spend more, which means that we're going to continue to see people paying and bidding more and more for home prices.
Yes, correct.
All right. Very, very interesting view there. I think, as I said, most of us will tell you, or all of us on this call will tell you, prices are going to continue to go up because we just know that. But really, really interesting way to sort of look at a bit more of a nuts and bolts reasoning behind that. All right. So APRA, Greg, the police for banks. We typically only ever talk about them when they're being negative and wanting to stop everything. It's a very hot topic at the moment that we're reading in the paper all the time. Everyone's saying that the regulator, being APRA, wants to step in and stop house prices growing. Jack's just told us they're not going to be able to do it. what exactly are they looking for that would drive them to pull the trigger to try and stop that?
I think the most important thing is looking at high risk situations. So that's what they're there. They're a regulator. So if they can see that the Reserve Bank has a plan, which it does in terms of growing the economy, but if the lending or what the banks are lending are not high risk loans, there's very limited chance that APRA will do anything about it.
Okay. So for those people on the call today, a high risk loan, what does the police department consider to be a high risk loan?
When someone's borrowing firstly above their capacity, so they'll look at their income relative to what they're spending on the loan, that's a high risk loan.
Yep.
One would be the ratio of their deposit, so the value of their deposit relative to the amount that they're borrowing. If banks are lending 95% or huge amounts against a small deposit, that is a high risk loan. So at this stage, there's no intention of stopping anything.
Yep.
But if things get out of control, those are the sort of things that APRA will look at. The Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority. I had to try and get that out.
You didn't want me to catch you on the fly and ask you, so you thought you'd get it out, didn't you?
I'll get it out now. That's what they'll be looking at. So if things start getting out of control, things like that is where they will then say, right, now we'll start regulating. And if and when that happens, could be next year or late next year. But if that occurs at all.
Okay. And look, and I think for those of you that are concerned, let me just say the banks have worked too long and too hard since the last time APRA stepped in early 2016, late 2015, in terms of maintaining what the police officers consider strong and good lending standards, to let that blow out again. Let's not forget the banks make their money by lending money. So I think there's a very, very little risk of that occurring. However, never say never, but I think for those of you that are concerned, it's just a headline. It's just grabbing your attention. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, might be an interesting segue from here. Prices, Jack's told us why they're going to keep going up. Greg's told us that even if they are running away, the police aren't going to stop them. Lucas, maybe tell us, just remind us, what are some of the reasons why we're seeing prices go up in terms of the market fundamentals?
Look, James, it's no secret that many buyers were caught off guard. They were originally being told at the beginning of the pandemic, the property housing market would crash. We have 20 to 30% decreases, and instead they find themselves in the middle of the booming. So
you're saying potential buyers thought, I won't buy now, prices are going to go down, I'll get a bargain, and now they've been caught off guard because prices are skyrocketing.
100%. And then you got the two major factors which we keep on mentioning, which is the historically lowest interest rates, as well as government incentives, which are also creating a much higher demand for the buyers out there.
All right. Now, I've seen quite a few questions from people in the past, as well as I can see a lot. Last one I just was reading now while you're talking is from Barbara. Typical question that seems to be coming through is, what could stop this growth? What do I need to be worried about? Is it going to suddenly stop? What are some of the reasons why it might stop?
I was hoping you asked me that question. Look, there are 6 major reasons that we're going to look at, although none of them to me make sense that they could happen. But for all those listeners out there, let's go through them.
So if you're a stressor like Greg and worried about it, this is the checklist you're saying, have a look at these, think about it. If we've got any haters on the line, they're going to be, cheering as you go through these. And you're going to tell us what they are, what to look out for, and why you think it may or may not occur.
Correct, 100%. So one of the things that can slow things down, obviously, as we all know, is interest rates. So if interest rates all of a sudden go up to 4, 5, 6, 7%, of course, that would slow down the market. But, we've got to look at what we've been promised, and we have been promised that for the next 3 years, interest rates would not change. So, that is something that I don't think we have to worry about. Number 2, immigration. So, obviously a reduction of immigration could slow down the market. But I want to remind everybody that the only reason why we had a reduction in immigration is not because people don't want to be in Australia or Melbourne for that fact, but it's because all the borders are closed down. And we can see students, migrants, people that want a holiday, everybody's waiting for the borders to open, and then they start flooding in again. So I can't see immigration being an issue.
Arguably, we might even argue it's the opposite way, that, you know, we've talked about it before, Australia is seen as a safe haven. Potentially the demand for people to come and move to Australia will skyrocket compared to what it was pre-pandemic.
Exactly, seeing how well we handle everything and how well our economy has come through this. I tell you what, there's a lot of ticks there. Number 3, an exodus to the regional areas. So again, yes, at the beginning there was some interest, but we all know we all see the prices have increased in the regional areas. They're not affordable anymore. So those that haven't gone there, now they've missed the boat. So it's not something that's going to keep on being popular. It was for a little bit. It was a flavor of the month or two, but now we see people switching back to the city. People are able to come back to work again. And of course, they can't wait to get back into the city. So I don't think there'll be an exodus to regional areas continuing like it was the first couple of months.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not giving much hope to those people that are worried.
I can see Greg, he's sitting there, he's biting his nails, he's stressing, but you're not really giving him much reason to stress, are you?
Not yet. But let's wait. We've got a few more. First home buyers. So, first home buyers have been pushing up the prices. And, many are getting into the market because low interest rates. Some of them are able to buy with just a 5% deposit rather than 10% deposit. So, we could see them getting exhausted eventually. But again, as Gregory correctly pointed out, even though the things might slow down, we got the best bank in the world, which is mom and dad. And we've seen in the last 6 to 8 weeks that they're coming in dynamically and helping the children. So the first home buyers, they're not going to slow down either, not from what we can see. Now, the final 2 points, investors. So, they're saying if you're an investor after the 30th of June, you don't get any more than 50% stamp duty saving. Is that going to slow down the market if they disappear? The news here is that the statistics and the figures we got are showing us that they're not any substantial numbers to begin with. It's mainly first home buyers, owner-occupiers, upsizing, downsizing, not so much investors. So that's not going to have a huge effect.
So what you're saying is, despite the incentive here in Victoria of 50% reduction in stamp duty ending in another 3 odd months, no one's really taking it up anyway.
Exactly. The numbers are so small. So now
anyone who's on the line and is thinking about investing, let me tell you, 50% is a huge saving. I'd be jumping on it if you're thinking about it. It is just for new properties. I think you're only down to, is it 25% for existing properties?
Correct.
Correct. But investors aren't taking it up. I'd be jumping on it if anyone is thinking about it out there. All right, hit us with the last reason.
The last one, Gregory's favorite, the regulators. So look, the only thing, and this is the only thing that I can see there's some possibility, is that if the regulators might step in, if they feel that the prices are increasing out of control, so what they might do is they might limit debt to income ratio. That's the only thing they can really do. And that, if it happens, could slow the market down. But as Gregory told us, and as we discussed earlier, there's no plan of such thing.
Okay. All right. So would it be fair to say we cannot see anything in the near future as to why the price rises would stop? You talked about leading indicators and auction clearance rates being a big one, and more than 80% week after week after week after week. I don't know what else anyone out there that's concerned that this is just temporary needs to see coming through. All right, I had a few questions coming through, particularly here from Jonathan saying, what about renters? What about landlords? So anyone got any sort of view? Rules are coming off. We've spoken a bit. Lucas touched on just then. Regional Australia, I'm assuming that regional Australia must be the most popular area everyone's wanting to rent. Is what's going to happen with our cities? Is that right?
Surprise on surprise, James. Okay, why I'm saying that? Because it's interesting that the data released from the biggest the real estate website is www.realestate.com in Australia and here, and that they said the most popular rental suburb in Australia, city.
Hang on, not regional Australia. It's the
No.
capital cities.
No, city area. So the data showing the most in-demand rental suburb for both house and the unit are located in the inner city area. For example, let me read this one for you. So
Okay.
the Richmond was the most popular suburb in the country for the serious renter looking for the house.
So not Byron Bay, where all the rich and famous are.
No, forget it. And also, Melbourne was the most in-demand suburb for the people that are looking to rent the unit. So
Okay.
this is the data from the realestate.com, the largest website in real estate.
So, we're reading headlines all the time that regional Australia, cities are dead. I know we've been talking a lot historically about that from a buying point of view, but it seems even for renting is not that big.
Generally speaking, like I think it's Lucas touched a little bit before, and in the first couple of months when pandemic hit us, and it is true that the demand in the regional area, the rental and also the housing price has been increased. But what I would like to say, city is a city. So everyone has a city dream. Everyone wants to live in the city. As soon as Go on.
Can I jump in for a second? Sorry to interrupt.
He always wants to have the last laugh, doesn't he?
Sorry. But look, what people are forgetting, they're not seeing the whole picture. So what is actually happened is that the amount of people moving to regional Victoria didn't change, James. It remained stable. The amount of people from regional areas moving into the city, whether it was for school, work, whatever it was, didn't happen. And the simple reason why it didn't happen, because we had the lockdowns. So nobody could come even if they wanted to. So that's why there seemed to be a difference. It's not really actually, you've got to look at the whole picture. And it's just that, the city didn't all of a sudden become unpopular, the lifestyle that nobody ever wanted. It's just that those two dynamics changed.
And I also want to point out is because the city area in the capital city, we have the huge value of the property for rental, but in the regional, we don't have that many. The numbers, for example, in the regional, we might only have a 50 property for rental, but in the city area, we might have a 50,000. So that makes huge difference.
Yeah, okay. All right, look, I've just noticed we're past the top of the hour. So, Jack, I'm glad you got to jump in and get the last laugh, because I could see Lucas, he was looking at his watch and wanted to get in last. So I'll stop it there. Hopefully for everyone on the call that is live today, we've answered your questions. We will read through everything in the transcript when we end the session. If we haven't answered your question, we will try to reach out to you by phone or email and answer those questions. So, just before we go, I just want to make a few closing comments. I think it's really important that we talk about what's next for everyone there. What should you be doing? I've had a lot of feedback from people that said, look, these sessions are great, but, James, what should I be doing next? Where to from here? So what I think is really important is to think about where are you now, where do you want to be, and how you're going to get there. That's sort of self-help book 101. And, the way that I see it is that you've got two choices, or really got three choices and two paths. The path that we all know, which is path A, which is your first choice is do nothing. So maybe you're happy with the way that things have been going. You don't want to change anything, or, you didn't get any value out of today. That's fine. It's not for everyone. You might not be the right fit for us either. What I do just want to say that if you don't make changes, you're going to continue to get the same results. So if you are looking to step up your game, get into the market now before it runs away, or just really thinking about what you should be doing to set yourself up for the future, then you need to make a change. Now, what I hope you do as a bare minimum is take on board what we've discussed, get to learn the concept of actionable knowledge and do it yourself. Make sure you've set yourself up and you've got a plan for that journey of how you're going to get to your destination. An alternate is path B. This is what I really, really hope that everyone does. Let us help you. Let us come on that journey with you. Let us run through, with you what you want to do, where you want to be, and let us help you come up with a plan as to how to get there. So how do we do that? Look, there's a lot of ways that we can help, but what I think really the most active and perhaps the most sort of dedicated way is to catch up one-on-one, whether that be virtually through Zoom like today, or even face-to-face for those of you that are brave enough to step out into the cold and the rain like today, and meet with us. A typical sort of meeting is perhaps 15 to 20 minutes. It's short, it's sharp. It's really just to meet, have a bit of a chat about each other. Perhaps we talk a few more things about the current market in the particular area that you're interested in looking at focusing on. Talk about your plans, what you're hoping to achieve in the future, and then really talk about what the next steps might be to get there. From that, we're going to be able to determine whether you're a good fit for us. Not everyone's going to be a good fit, and that's okay. We can't help everyone. If you are on the call today, then I'd suggest that you've taken the right first step, and that this is probably the next best logical step for you. If you're still not sure whether this is the right fit for you, let me just tell you, it's 20 minutes of your life. Do it now. You won't regret it. It won't be something that you'll walk away from not feeling you've got value. And if it's not the right fit for you, then that's fine. But I'm sure you'll get value from having a chat regardless. So, really for people that want to get to that next level, we've talked about that. You're motivated, you're confident, you're going to take the action. You want to create that actionable knowledge database. It's so important to understand that. So, opportunities are going to suddenly just appear. And you need to be prepared. You need to understand how to identify those opportunities and really be able to take action when they appear. You've got to be hungry, and you've got to actually do the work. So, if you're concerned you're not going to be the right fit for us, if this doesn't sound like you, then, perhaps you might not be the right fit, but dedicate that time. Let's catch up and see if we are. So how do you do this? Really, really simple. There should be a link in the chat. Hopefully Greg posted it. Post-webinar, your browser page should be showing the booking page now. It should have been redirected to it. Those of you that don't have your diary or can't see either of those two options, I'll send you an email after this session ends with a link. You can follow up and book that session. Those of you that want to do it interactively on Zoom now, that button is there for visual effect. It doesn't actually do anything. So don't waste time. Get involved. Book it now. There are only limited spots. Everyone's busy. I have set aside some time just for you guys that are on the call today in everyone's diary that they can't book out other than for these, but really jump on and get that done. So that is it. Thank you, everyone. 24th of March, 2021. This was question time. Again, let me thank you very much for setting aside your time. I know I've got about 10 minutes or so late, but those of you that have hung around, I really, really appreciate it. I hope that we delivered value to you. If we didn't, send me an email. Let me know what you were looking for, what we missed out on, and we can try and adapt. But let me just say, I think, we get a number of repeat customers. We really, really appreciate all of your support over the last year. And I'm glad that we're adding value to everyone out there. As I said, this is a session for you. Get involved, ask your questions. If you are joining us via Facebook, I didn't mention at the start, we can't actually get to those questions. I'm only one man and can only control one computer at a time. So if you want to get involved and have your questions answered live, then do join us. There should be a link as to how to book your session. If not, I'll post it later again on Facebook. Get involved, get here. It's all about you guys. We love seeing your friendly faces on the call. So that is it. Thank you very much from me and the panel. We look forward to seeing you again next week, the week after, the month after, whenever it is. We are here every single Wednesday, 2:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time, rain, hail or shine. So that is it. Thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing you next week.